Welcome to Wawa's On Wire. Today we're talking about Marzuki's recent comments on election funding and the really fascinating, often quite intricate dynamics within Peloton National. It's a classic political saga, isn't it? Where the very fabric of alliances gets tested over who truly holds the power and, maybe more importantly, who holds the purse strings.
Absolutely. And these aren't just minor political squabbles that flare up now and then. They really offer a crucial window into the financial architecture of election campaigns and the, well, sometimes unwritten rules of coalition partnerships. Understanding this helps us grasp the bigger picture of Malaysian politics, doesn't it? How these victories are actually put together and what they cost, both financially and politically.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this a bit. We've definitely seen growing tension between Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, it's called them Bersatu, and Parti Islam Si Malaysia, PAS. They're two key parts of Perikatan Nasional, or KIAN. It feels like a fundamental power struggle, the kind that pops up when coalition partners do well together. Everyone wants credit, right?
Exactly. These recent comments really highlight a perceived rift, especially regarding leadership within the coalition. It brings right to the forefront the enduring challenges of managing a multi-party setup, particularly after a big win, because that's when contributions and credit become, well, real points of contention. It's often not just about past glory, but about future influence too. Control, really.
Right, and this is where it gets really interesting. Sanusi, PAS's election director, he certainly stirred the pot, didn't he? Made some pretty pointed remarks, though he didn't name names directly. He basically suggested that some parties, even though they relied heavily on PAS for, ground manpower and crucially financial support during elections, somehow still expected to be the senior partner in PN. That's a powerful insinuation.
It directly questions the hierarchy, the perceived value of different contributions.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is the subtlety of it. It's strategic, questioning the hierarchy without a direct confrontation. He's leveraging the narrative of ground support, resource contribution. It's a way to air grievances publicly, but, keep some plausible deniability. And it raises that fundamental question for any political alliance. How do you weigh contributions? Is it the sheer number of volunteers, the boots on the ground, or is it the financial muscle, the money to run a big, effective campaign? Often you need both, obviously, but how partners value them can differ a lot. And that causes friction.
So how did the other side take this sort of implicit claim about financial leverage?
Well, Marzuki, who used to be chief private secretary to PN chairman Muhyiddin, he certainly didn't let that stand, did he? Shot back pretty quickly with a strong statement. Directly addressing the money side of things, he practically laid out what he sees as the accounts for everyone. Seemed very determined to set the record straight. Yes, and this gives us a completely different perspective, a direct counter-narrative to what Sanusi was implying. Marzuki actually endorsed Sanusi's estimate that a parliamentary constituency needs at least, 1 million ringgit for election expenses?
Right, 1 million ringgit minimum, which is around 210,000 US dollars, a huge amount.
A very substantial sum, especially when you multiply it across constituencies. But Marzuki went further. He didn't just agree. He suggested that 1 million is really just the floor, the minimum. That gives you a concrete and frankly, quite sobering idea of the money involved in Malaysian elections, the sheer cost.
So it's not just about the numbers, but him actually saying the numbers, putting them out there. That feels quite rare in politics, doesn't it? This kind of financial transparency or claim of it.
It's definitely a bold move. Usually parties are, let's say, quite opaque about campaign finances. Marzuki laying it out like this suggests a calculated effort to shift the narrative, to assert that Bersatu, not PAS, was the main financial engine. But this kind of public declaration about internal funding, it can be a double-edged sword, It clarifies one point, maybe, but it also risks exposing internal divisions, could weaken the coalition's image. It's a strategic gamble, for sure.
Designed to reinforce Bersatu's top position by highlighting their financial clout.
Precisely. And then came what you called the bombshell.
Yeah. Marzuki asserted that during the 15th general election, PAS didn't face major financial hurdles specifically because they contested under the PN banner. He made it really explicit, said all campaign materials with the PN logo were actually provided by the coalition itself, which points to a very centralized approach, doesn't it, for campaign logistics, funding.
It really does. If you connect the dots, it suggests a highly centralized funding and resource allocation system within PN during that election. And Marzuki's claim is very specific here. He's saying Bersatu didn't just cover its own hefty expenses, but also provided, quote, considerable financial assistance to PAS. That's not vague. It's a direct claim about inter-party money flows.
Right, directly countering any idea that PS funded itself or was the main financial backer.
Exactly. It aims to completely rewrite that narrative, implying PAS's success was significantly bankrolled by Bersatu's support.
And the outcome of all this alleged support, PAS went on to win a staggering 43 parliamentary seats. That's not just a good win. Marzuki really hammered this home. He called it a 70-year record for the party in Malaysia, a massive political achievement, a historic high for PAS.
Which immediately makes you ask, okay, how much did that financial backing contribute to such a historic win? Marzuki's position is crystal clear on this. He stated quite firmly that the material and financial aid from Bersatu to PAS is an undeniable fact. And crucially, he believes it's a fact Sanusi himself knows very well.
Ooh, that's pointed.
It is. It's not just about sharing credit. It's a direct challenge to PAS's narrative of self-sufficiency. It frames the victory as a shared effort, heavily fueled by shared or perhaps more accurately provided resources. But beyond just the record win, maybe the real insight here is how internal financial data is being used publicly, as a weapon, almost. This isn't just about credit anymore, it's strategic. It could redefine how coalition partners negotiate funding, future roles, sets a potentially uncomfortable precedent for accountability within alliances.
So, if Marzuki's account holds water, it paints this picture of Bersatu as the main financier for the whole PN campaign. Not just itself, but significantly for its coalition partner too. Resources pooled, strategically distributed perhaps. What do you think this means for the power dynamics inside PN moving forward? Does putting in the most money automatically mean you get to be the leader? Or does that ground support, the manpower Sanusi talked about, hold more weight in the long run? It kind of reminds me of that old saying, politics is the art of looking for trouble. Here, the trouble is definitely about the money. We'd love to hear what you think in politics. Does money talk loudest, or is it really the ground game that matters most?
Well, ultimately, this whole exchange, this back and forth between key figures, it's not just about accounting, is it? Who funded what banner or poster? It digs deeper into the very nature of political partnerships, how different contributions, money, people, ideas are valued, or perhaps devalued. And it's about that constant negotiation for influence, for leadership within a coalition.
Yeah, that constant push and pull.
And something often overlooked in these money debates is the psychological impact on loyalty. If one party feels it's always underwriting the success of another, even a record-breaking success like PAS had, that can breed resentment. And that's much harder to fix than any budget shortfall. These internal power struggles, they're the undercurrents shaping the political landscape, influencing future alliances, future strategies.
It certainly shows how fragile these alliances can be, even after a big win.
Exactly. It reminds us that even after a victory, the internal balancing act continues. And the question of who paid for what can become a very potent political tool.
It's a fascinating glimpse, isn't it? Behind the public statements, into the financial backbone of elections, and the, well, often tense internal dynamics of political alliances here in Malaysia. It really shows there's usually a deeper story about power, money, resources, things often kept hidden. And this whole thing makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a multi-party system, when one dominant party funds a successful partner, does that create a kind of debt? Does it shape future policy, leadership, the coalition's survival even? Something to think about.
We hope this gave you a clearer understanding of these complex issues.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.